be a failure. As long as it's not going to kill you, it's going to make you what? Stronger.
So this is day one of Accra. I'm talking actually tomorrow, so we'll be sharing more information. But today I'm just gonna take a picture of the event and all those things. So I'll see you there. Hey. Yeah. Now I'm going to check on the bus right quick. Okay. No, I'll be there in a second.
When civil society organizations in this country have gone mute, many things have been done in this country.
It's a great pleasure to have you here in this session, and we'll get right into it. So our topic is Startup Economy, Fairy Tale or Future. And I'm so glad to welcome to the panel my right-hand man and my left-hand man. And I have two HH guys on it, so a Henry and a Hamid. So Hamidou is here with us. We are going to speak around how, there's a rhetoric that is shared that startups are paving the way for the future. You no longer have children who want to grow up to be lawyers or doctors. Everybody wants to be a startup founder. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. And the conversation we are having this afternoon is, will this startup economy that we are speaking of, that many of us are besotted with, continue to bloom? And we also want to think around whether startups and entrepreneurs can be able to help us as Africa to break free from aid. And I'm quite pleased to have, as my panelists, two fantastic gentlemen who are going to agitate from two different perspectives. One says, startup economy, entrepreneurship is the future. We can entrepreneur our way out of everything. And the other man is saying, look, do not absolve government of their responsibilities. Allow them to do the work. Allow them to supply the social and basic public services that are necessary. Because if they don't do that, then who will, and what happens to the weakest among us? And so I'm very glad this afternoon to have with me Hamidou N. Hamidou is a senior advisor for the delivery unit in Senegal. He will shortly introduce himself. Also quite pleased to have on my right hand, Henri Nyakarundi, who is CEO and founder of the African Renewable Energy Distributor. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much. So I will start with you, Henry. You can perhaps pick up that mic because you're my right-hand man. No disrespect, but look, he's on my right, and I am right-handed. I would love that you just perhaps give us a quick introduction to yourself and perhaps just identify with what you would run with, startup economy. Is that the way to go? You're a CEO and founder. Do you believe that entrepreneurship is the truth, that it will at some point very soon completely displace aid in the African narrative?
You want me to answer all that at once or just do the
Just
intro?
bit by bit, perhaps just your intro and then just an overall feeling to begin
Okay.
with, and then I'll ask some few questions as you
Sounds
go.
good.
Okay.
So my name is Henri Nyakarundi from ARED. So we are technology for social good. I've been in business for over 19 years. So the current business I'm doing is we developed a smart solar kiosk technology to bring smart distribution and connectivity solution for low-income areas. And we use what we call a micro-franchise business model, where we hire women and people with disability to operate those kiosks and to give them economic empowerment. So briefly to answer the question, I mean, and I like short answer, yes. Government had the chance to bring their specs for the last 60 years since independence. I think it's time for entrepreneurship to bring value to the bottom line. I think entrepreneurship is the key that will solve not all the problems, but a lot of our problems on the ground.
All right, thank you. I like it short and sweet. So moving over to you, Hamid, you would introduce yourself and perhaps quick thoughts on the topic.
Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Hamidou Anne, je travaille dans le Delivery Unit du gouvernement du Sénégal, après avoir embrassé une carrière plus ou moins courte dans le journalisme et les enjeux éditoriaux pour des médias français et sénégalais. Et j'ai toujours l'habitude d'avoir un peu le mauvais rôle dans ce type de panel parce que hier, comme William l'a dit dans l'opening ceremony, il était très critique vis-à-vis des gouvernements et parfois assez cynique. Donc du coup, ils se prennent parfois toutes les pierres de la part des entrepreneurs, des développeurs et des innovateurs. Donc souvent, je prends un peu le mauvais.
Sometimes, so I play the bad role, and publicly I have to pronounce on entrepreneurship, on blogging, and on what we call the influencers. This was commented not only in a positive way, but in the debates we get a bit deeper, so that we leave this position and then talk about the main issues.
You, Henry, perhaps just a quick question. Do you think startups are more sustainable than investing in regular development sort of initiatives? Do you really, because I know sustainability is always an important thing. I mean, any kind of development work. Do you think startups would beat, usual development work in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, so I'll speak from experience. We work a lot in our rural area. And we work with NGOs, we work with different entities on the ground. And what I've learned is that a lot of programs that exist on the ground, especially programs that try to empower the low-income communities, are very short-term programs, right? And what happened is, you have a fund, you bring consultants from overseas. A lot of times that's what happened. They come, they don't understand the ecosystem. The program's supposed to end in 2 years, and then the programs end, and then that's it, they're gone. They move to the next program. And what you see is big organization or development organization chase the money. So they look where the funds are going, and then they go where the funds are. But when you look at local entrepreneur, they have long-term vision. They have to take care of their communities. They have to find solutions that are sustainable because they're from the community, they understand the community, and they know that if the business is not sustainable, they're not going to make it. And that's the biggest issue happening, where we need to change the mindset. It's a mindset issue. And the biggest problem is we still focusing so much on those big development organizations instead of empowering local entrepreneurs.
Right, that's quite interesting, I must say. And you did raise something very interesting, which I want to kind of throw back to you. You say that development initiatives are literally chasing the money. I thought it's you guys who are startups, who are capitalists, who are literally looking for the bottom line, chasing the real money. So how do you draw a distinction between you and them?
So the distinction is on the, after you get, I mean, it's the long-term vision. That's really what the distinction, I mean, any program or anything you do in life, you're going to need some type of capital. So yes, we are chasing money, but we don't get the same access to that money than those organizations, number one. Number two, we build solution for the long run, always. Compared to those organizations, they have a time limit where they have an expiration date. And when that expires, the program usually dies. I've seen, we operate in all refugee camps in Rwanda. I can't tell you how many times the organization bring new programs every 2 years, not caring what the other program is happening, and it's a big issue. And there's also, just to finish, there's a lack of valuing local entrepreneur. And I want to add something. There's a new level of entrepreneurship I call social entrepreneurship, which is what we do. We're a social impact entrepreneur. And it's very important to distinguish, because our goal is not just to make money, it's to have a social impact, which is very important.
Lovely. So you make a very compelling case, I must say. I'm just going to cross over now to Hamid and perhaps allow you to respond to that. Now, he says that the new kind of entrepreneurship is social entrepreneurship, and therefore they're literally not only making the money, but the bottom line also includes people. Of course, there's also profit and planet. Now, I want your response around that, because I do know that there's a school of thought that says when it comes to development work, it is government that has the people in mind. It is government that has deeper scale, depth, and reach. So what are your thoughts? Perhaps a response to what he said.
Ok. En fait, à la limite, je suis d'accord avec Henri quand il parle de local impact.
And entrepreneurship, working with grassroots communities, there is some kind of disagreement which is not that big. The two main elements I would like to bring in is that, to me, the local development, the community development is a bit what we are doing every day. We have entrepreneurs, innovators, but also those who know what I call electoral and political legitimacy. I mean, those who are elected. So this draws us back on the challenges that is inspired by policies. I mean, the political men are not so useful. We need to wait for them. We have to work by ourselves, because for a long time, and here I think that we are in agreement, the policies do not respond to the concern of the people, do not bring any answer to the questions raised, including the world, the women, the rural world, etc. And this is what brings legitimacy to the challenges inspired by the policies. Decision makers, I mean, but where I have some concern with what you are saying has to do with this capitalism that you are promoting, and which goes along with a much more global dynamism. It has to do with money for transformation of society in terms of money and wealth creation. For instance, when you say that you talk about a company with a social impact, I am saying a company, it can be a small company, etc. I'm talking about the same thing, because the social impact has to do with generating products or services that are going to change the life of the people where they are, including in the most remote communities. We have to do with employing people and have social contributions, a retirement, and also to have an impact on society where we are. So if a company, a banking company, an insurance company in the agro industry, whatever you want, that does not have any social impact, I don't know what it means finally. If a company does not have any social impact, if it is just to make money, it is, let me say, quite strange, because I think the worst companies in the world are saying that they want to have a social impact. So the difference, to me, I cannot find it much.
Very interesting, I must say, in terms of a response. Would you want to respond to what he's just said?
Well, I'll respond in English. I mean, no, that's his view. I mean, but there is company. The impact is, it's really on what your value proposition is, right? So, if you're a company, it depends. Is your impact the byproduct of what you're doing, or is your impact is what you're focusing on first? So that's the distinguish the differences you can have. But you have companies that may have an impact, but they don't focus on impact, right? What we build the company is we measure impact. We build a whole software system to measure the impact. How many women, how many people with disability we impact? What's the income revenue compared to other businesses? What's the impact on the community? So that's what I would add on.